Okay, you are live.
Awesome. We will now call to order the meeting of the Housing and Community Development Committee. It is Wednesday, October the 14th, 2020. The time is 6:37 p.m. We'll start with a roll call. Alderwoman Tierney.
Present.
Alderman Schandelmeyer.
Present.
Commissioner Libson.
Or I mute.
Present. I muted
Awesome.
because I didn't want you to hear my dog barking.
Awesome. So we are all good to go. We have an official quorum thanks to our new rule, which we'll get into a little bit later. And speaking of that, it is now the approval of the agenda. I make a motion to amend the agenda before approval.
So moved.
Can I?
Seconded, I suppose. Second.
Yeah, thank you. And so I'm adding for the 9th item on the agenda, an update on the committee rules and assignments based off of this legislation that we passed this past Monday. And with that, could we get an approval of the agenda or a motion to approve the agenda? I'm sorry.
Mr. Chairman, I'm making a motion to approve the agenda.
Can I get a second?
Second. The amended agenda, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Awesome. Can I get approval of the minutes from our last meeting? Just give me 1 second to pull up those notes.
Go to Google.
In our drive, correct?
Right. Yeah. Does Brooks know that it's in a drive?
I sent him a link.
Oh, there's
Oh.
Terry.
Mr. Chairman, just as a warning, I cannot, since I was not on the council for the last committee meeting, make a motion or second or vote on the approval of the minutes.
Terry just got on, so.
Do it.
Hey, I'm trying to find our, just 1 second, my apologies. Shared with me. Oh, there we go. Shared drives, housing and community development. Awesome. There we go. Can I get a motion of approval of our minutes from the September the 9th, 2020 meeting?
So moved.
So, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 The minutes approved. The next item on our agenda is the Cdbg fiscal year 2022 notes. I'll hand it over to Teresa.
Okay. As you know, Cdbg will be coming up again for fiscal year 2022. And I had done some tweaking of the application and I finished it up and I put it in the drive and I think I let everybody know that it was in there. So if anybody has any comments or anything, we're probably, because of the legislation that happened Monday, we probably are going to change a little bit the process, but I'm not sure exactly how yet. I'll probably call Joel and talk to him about it. But we'll still go along with having the organizations come in February and make their presentations. And so we'll pretty much keep the same schedule. I have no idea how much money we'll get because Congress hasn't voted, on the budget yet. They have, our fiscal years are off a little bit, so we'll wait and see. I don't imagine that we'll get, that we'll get about the same amount. So I'm hoping that we do that. So does anybody have any questions? I didn't get any response from anybody about adding any new organizations to the mailing list that I put in there. Didn't hear from anyone on that. So
In regards to, I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
I sent out the mailing list, all the organizations that get applications, get a note from me and an email. And I asked, there's about, 60 or so organizations on there. And I asked everybody at the last meeting and sent an email out that if you wanted to add any organization to get that information to me by last Friday, and I didn't hear from anybody. So I
All right, I'm just writing down a note now. Is it too, like, is the deadline hasn't passed to apply though, correct?
Correct.
Okay,
Correct.
perfect.
It's just that I start doing the labels, and I wanted to get the application out, or get the notice out and put it on the website by the end of the week, but we can add people. You just have to make sure that they're organizations that serve low and moderate income people.
So even though they're not on the list, they can still get an application.
Yeah, I mean, anybody can get an application.
Right. Won't hold it up. Yeah.
So the deadline's not until December 3rd. So we're, got plenty of time. That's about it for CDBG 2022.
And the expected, my apologies, the expected date for like when they'd say what our estimated fund amount?
Typically, if there's not, if they agree on a budget, we usually get it in February.
Oh, okay, okay.
But we've gotten it as late as April and May. I mean, it just depends on what Congress is up to.
There's a
So-
CR now, right?
Pardon?
There's a CR now that has the amount, well, we would have, but they won't,
Right.
they're not going to get a real budget until next year.
Right. So we might not know. I mean, like I said, we've gotten it as late as April, May, and they're typically, our action plans due in May, so then they give us an extension for that. But I'm hoping, I'm hoping that we get the same amount. What really worries me is the census.
Mhm.
No, this census.
Because
Yeah.
all our money comes from what, basically comes from what they discover in the census. And I think they
The
shortened,
Supreme Court short circuited it yesterday.
Yeah.
Plus the fact that, how many people do you think really,
They did what?
I actually have seen a lot more messages and public statements about the census for quite some time than I remember ever seeing in prior years, prior
really,
census years. Yeah, but in this world, who knows?
right.
Yeah.
The last census, we were really active. We went out to visit the different locations, all the subsidized housing. But you couldn't go this time. You couldn't
You couldn't go. Yeah.
anyway. So
Teresa, why did I think
So
somewhere
we
I
did-
thought we had a number, we had some kind of budget, or did we just assume we'd get the same as last
I
year?
just assumed that we get the same as last year.
Yeah.
So for the census, we did do a lot of outreach, even though it was more difficult to do because of COVID. But we hired a census coordinator, and that person
Oh, that's right.
went to all the food drives and
Oh, good.
went to a ton of events and all of that. And so, and actually they're still working. So they've been to all the testing sites to make, as people are coming to get their tests, and they've done a bunch of stuff. And so, our self-response rate is not as high as it was in 2010. But what I said to Brooks from the Capitol is the more diverse our population becomes, the more difficult the lower the self-response rate will be, and the more we'll rely on I'm sorry, I just realized my camera was off. The more we will rely on enumerators because of the level of trust in so many communities. So we'll just see what happens, but I'm hoping that that our numbers, the total number will equal, even though our self-response rate is lower right now.
Good. Because we're, when I first started with CDBG here, we were getting $400,000, $450. Now we're down to $250. So,
Part of that's the reduction in the budget overall,
yep, over
not
the years.
not necessarily because of our lower response rate.
Does that also
Well,
have-
don't forget, I've been 20 years, so it's 2 cents.
Exactly, yeah.
Does that have to do with anything with I like median income rate, or is that affected by a different amount of money?
There's a whole formula for CDBG that includes all kinds of things. It includes joblessness, it includes housing condition, and I mean, all kinds of different, there's like about 10 factors that go into it. And median income. I mean, right now, I think our median income from the previous census went up when I got here in 1997. We were working on, the city was 42% low and moderate income, the entire city.
What month in 97 did you get here?
Halloween.
Oh, I thought it was February. That's my birthday.
No, that's my birthday. That's my birthday.
Mine too.
Eddie, my Aquarius.
Pisces.
Oh, you're
the end of February.
Yeah.
25th. Yeah. So I came on Halloween. So this is my 23rd anniversary.
Amen.
At the end of the month. But anyway.
So when you apply for the CDBG application and you actually fill out the paperwork, do they give you an opportunity to expand on, that yes, this is Annapolis, but we do have this, sections of our communities that desperately need these funds? Do they allow you to talk about the housing conditions and stuff, maybe to, increase our chances of getting funding?
No. No, it's a strict formula. It's a strict formula. And when I came here, when I was here first, the city was 42% low and moderate income, which nobody would ever think that the city of Annapolis was almost half low and moderate income. And then the next census, it went down to 38% because all the additional housing that was created was all market rate housing at that point. So
with the church,
there's a lot of market rate housing created. There was, so that, I think that changed it from 42 to 38%, but still that's considerable. In order to do projects citywide, like if we wanted to do a project that served the entire city, we'd have to be at 51% low and moderate income. So we don't,
but if we were
do
you think that with the, well, they can't, I mean, never mind, that can't be included. I was, thinking with, the large undocumented community that we have here that would be included in the low income community. And we could tell that just based off of, the Tyler Heights food drive alone that's lasted.
Right, but they have to answer the they have to be included in the census in order for that.
Right.
To be counted. So.
And
anyway.
so if you are, I thought that there was some option for you on the census, like even if you were not a citizen.
The current administration was doing its darndest to take that off, and there was
Right.
a lot of misinformation that got put out there regarding it. So
yeah,
Well,
but you
there's
don't have to be a citizen to take the census.
Right.
It's wherever
You're
you
not
lay your
supposed
head.
to have
Yeah.
So we could potentially then see an increase based off of, just how the demographics of our community, of our city have changed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that would be great.
As long as those people filled in.
Take the census.
Right.
Yeah.
Does anybody know what judgment the Supreme Court used for stopping it? It's just maddening that they
I
just
thought the
stopped it.
Census Bureau wanted to stop it because they needed to get.
Yeah, they wanted to stop it 2 weeks ago.
Okay,
It's because officially it was supposed to be over a long time ago.
I know.
They had
Right.
extended it. And so, they didn't want
To the 19th, correct? I thought the date was, or
So the administration wanted to stop it because
Right.
they want to be able to certify the results before they leave office.
Correct.
Oh,
and,
God.
and what is the
And in their certification there were people are concerned that there may be efforts to not include the very people who would mean that our city would get more
They
money.
need to be counted.
Yeah, the ones who need to be counted.
So, and I mean, you know, DeJuan mentioned the Tyler Heights food drive. Here's what I would say about that food drive is most of those people don't live in the city of Annapolis.
Mm,
You know, a lot of those folks that come to the food drives in Annapolis hear about them from other people or hear about them on social media, and they come from all over. So they are
makes me
from
really want the results
Prince
because
George's County and
our
from
numbers
Glen
look.
Burnie and from all over the place. Yeah.
So
Lynn
you
did an amazing
so you
outreach
think
for that.
of the population that we think we had. You think that our low and moderate income members would be lower? You think
Well, I'm
they'd be
just saying,
40?
I don't think we could base them on the number of people that show up at any of our food giveaways because we don't collect and we don't turn anyone away. And we don't necessarily collect information to determine whether or not they live in the city of Annapolis. Because, I mean, you know, many of the people live in the county, in Anne Arundel County, but some of them live outside of the county even. So it'll be interesting to see how the numbers come out. But we know that the Hispanic population is now about 20%, and the African American population is about 20%. So those those two demographics are about equal.
Wow, because it used to be the African American percentage was like 33%, 30.
Right.
Well,
Question.
when I was at Annapolis High School in 2015, one thing that we always touted, we were a third in both racial and economic and social economic demographics, which was amazing. And in that sense, it does make you feel in a way that we are a spoiled community because we have, you know, so many different people within this small city of different backgrounds and, you know, socioeconomic statuses and stuff like that. So very interesting. So the census date is October 15th, they say. It can end on October the 15th. So that's the final day. Oh, that's tomorrow.
Yep.
Correct.
Yeah, this
They
week. Yeah.
started immediately.
Oh
Yeah,
my
boom.
goodness. So we got to
Yeah.
get people to, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm looking like, oh my God, that's tomorrow.
Yeah. They did
That
this.
is jacked up. Wow, that's jacked up. Okay. All
Hey, I have
right.
a
Any
question.
last questions? Yeah, while we're on this topic. Alderwoman Tierney?
Yeah, it was before on additional applicants. Teresa, you know Angel Trainer, Serenity Sisters.
Oh, sure. Yeah, we've met several times.
Is she qualified?
She's on the list.
Oh, she's on the list.
She's on the mailing list for, yeah.
So she gets one. Okay.
Well, she can. I mean, she can apply. She's just never applied.
Okay. So I can.
Yeah, Sally and I have met with her on several occasions.
Yeah.
It'd be helpful to that population. So.
Okay, I'll reach out to her and make sure she understands that you're going to be.
You can just check the list I emailed you and make sure she's on it, and if she's not, let me know, and I'll check it too.
But if they're on the list, that means that you do send something out to them, or
I send an email. I used to send. I used to mail the applications out. This is way back before we had all this technology, and then I started just putting them on the website so that they could get them off the website. And now I just send everybody an email, and I probably won't send out a letter because it's hard for me to, I'm working from home, so I can't like physically mail things. So I probably will end up just sending an email.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Any more questions on item number 5? We're all good? Awesome. The next item on the agenda is CDBG CV3.
Okay, so I'm not sure if everybody knows, but CDBG COVID money came out in 3 groups, or tranches, I think they call them. And the first one was, I'm sorry?
Tranche.
Okay. I know I didn't say it right, but I'm close. Anyway,
close.
I've never even heard of the word before, but so there's three. The first one we already did. The first one is that first $150,000 that we had the competition for with our folks that we knew were already doing the work. And so we gave that out. The second one was all the money went to the state. The state decided that it was only going to allow counties to apply. So the city couldn't apply, but the Anne Arundel County applied in behalf of us. And all that money is going to that eviction, housing assistance, all of that plus legal help. So, and the city of Annapolis, people are included in that. So that was a decision the state made. There was nothing we could do about it. So now the third bunch of money they've decided to give us directly. So we got a notice from HUD that we will get $272,000.
Oh, wow.
This is only for COVID related, again,
Yeah.
COVID related. So we spoke to the mayor's office, and Lynn has some information on what it is that we're going to look at doing this round.
Wait, hold on. Alderman Chandler.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Teresa, what is the exact definition of COVID-related for this
It has to
purpose?
be for prevention of COVID, protection of COVID, or things that problems that happen that are related to COVID.
Or in response to,
In response to
issues that arise because of COVID. Thank you, Nancy. That's
So we could use it for things like housing assistance because someone lost their job due to the COVID pandemic.
Right. Now,
but we
what we're
promised-
doing is we're going through the county on that, because the counties put in their own money. They put in Cdbg money. They put in their own Cdbg money. They put in the Cdbg money that they got in round 2. So they have a lot of funding for that. And now they've hired also legal help for people. And the way that the city citizens access it is through the Community Action Agency and the Lighthouse. So,
yeah.
Which is not handing out the funds. I sit on the Community Action Agency's board, and we just had our board meeting for the month of December, and they aren't handing out funds for eviction assistance because of the moratorium, and the county's money, the county's contract forbids that. So,
well, here's the problem.
What?
Here's the problem. Let me explain this.
Okay.
Okay. One of the problems is that all the people that live in subsidized housing shouldn't need any assistance because their rent gets adjusted. So if you live in public housing and you lose your job, you tell them, they adjust your rent, so you're still only paying that 30 percentage of your income. So there shouldn't be a problem with anybody. If you live in Section 8 housing, it's the same thing. You just report, they adjust. So people in subsidized housing that lose their jobs and stuff.
you said there shouldn't, correct?
Shouldn't have a problem.
Shouldn't is not a legal term, is what they say.
But hang on. But as long as but the people have to report that they lost their
Yeah,
job.
they have to report
That's
it.
the
I mean,
thing.
it's not
Right.
automatic. They have to let,
Right.
they have
Okay.
They
to.
have to let
So
the housing authority know.
The item on the agenda is CDBG CV3. So
Right.
we'll allow Ms. Farrell the chance to present the mayor's proposal.
So there are 2 items that have been chronic, I guess I should say, during this pandemic. The first one of them is, and this is in no specific order, but the first one that I'll discuss is food insecurity. And so as you all have probably seen, we've done a number of food drives and the cars have been just around the block for all of them. And so if you count up how many families are being fed through the food drives in the city of Annapolis, probably about 5,000 families are being fed a week. Now we know that not all of them, we don't know that necessarily that all of them live in the city of Annapolis, but we know that in the city of Annapolis, food insecurity is still an issue. So we are standing up a static pantry at the Pitt Moyer Rec Center. It will be open from now until the money runs out, basically. So at least for the next 2 years. We will, and this CDBG C3, we have 2 years to spend the funding. And so we will use part of the CARES Act funding that the county gave the city. So the county awarded the city $4 million. So we're going to use part of that money until December 30. So we use that money to purchase the equipment for the food pantry. And then we'll use another part of that to purchase the food that we need to purchase between now and December 30. And then after December 30, we will begin to use the CDBG 3 funding to pay for the delivery truck that goes up to the food banks and picks up the food and brings it back to us, and then as well as purchasing the food and any other supplies, the cleaning supplies and all those kinds of things that are needed to stand up this static pantry. And there'll be a little bit of staff cost in there as well. So that's the one thing. So that will give us the opportunity to resolve the food insecurity issues in the city of Annapolis for a good long time. And we'll be able to start off serving about 200 families a week. And every family will know that they're going to get food every week. So they'll be on a list, and either they'll be able to come and pick it up or it'll be delivered to them to their homes. You all may know that the Office of Emergency Management was doing something called Food Friday for years and years, and they were feeding about 30 families a week. And during the beginning of the pandemic, because they were, so busy with response to COVID, they asked that the mayor's office take over managing it. And so Hillary Raftovich and I basically took it over. It has now grown to about 95 families a week. So now we are feeding about 95 families a week on that, and with that program. And so to enable us to increase the number, but also to make it sustainable, because it's a lot of work to sort and deliver and make sure we get the right food and all of that stuff each week. We've asked Restoration Community Development Corporation, that's Pastor Cheryl Menendez's group, to take over managing the static pantry. And they're going to manage it, but we'll still be there as volunteers and to help out. But they do this in North County and have been doing it for a number of years in North County and do a really great job. So we'll use a part of the funding for that. The other thing that has been apparent is that families need internet access. So families need internet access for kids to do their homework, for parents to apply for jobs, for parents to work sometimes. And so we've partnered, and you all may have read about this in the Capitol. So we've partnered with Comcast to provide subscriptions. Now that we have this funding, we'll be able to do it for about 2 years to any family in an under-resourced household. That includes seniors and families with children that need internet access. Will be able to participate in this Comcast Internet Essentials program. And yes, Alderman
Mr. Alderman Shannon, please let her finish the presentation.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Mr. Chairman. I was out of order. So So we will be able to, families will be able to sign up for the Comcast Internet Essentials. Comcast is forgiving any past due bills that that these households may have, and they will get free internet access, but it's just internet access, so it's not cable. It's just internet access, but it's strong enough internet access or fast enough internet access that 3 or 4 children within a family can all be doing their schoolwork at the same time. Now, 3 or 4 children in a family can do their schoolwork at the same time, but someone can't be online streaming, watching TV while 3 or 4 kids are doing their homework. And if there are families that have 5 or 6 kids and they all need to be doing their homework at the same time, then we're going to work with Comcast to make sure that they get what they need. But we won't know that until we begin to give out the codes that will be available to families. So we're going to work with the property managers in each of the low to moderate income housing communities, and also with the principals at the schools to make sure that families have what they need. So it'll be children that are eligible for farms and through the school system. We're also going to provide it to anyone living in Morris Blum or in any of the senior communities that need it as well. So that's where we are with it.
Awesome, thanks. And so this is, again, the mayor's proposal. This is not final because it would still have to be voted on by this body. And then well,
we changed the legislation, so we have to ask Joelle how this is going to work, because
it still have to be voted on by the finance committee. So this is not final. Alderman Schandelmeyer.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for you and the mayor's office for working out this deal with Comcast. So the Comcast deal has to pass through the city council, as we were just saying. Once it passes, do we have any idea when we will be able to start distributing those codes out?
No, we're going to use the original CARES Act funding.
Oh, okay, so we don't
start it, and then so we aren't waiting. I should have the codes in the next day or so, and we'll be distributing them. So we're using the CARES Act funding from the county to start off, and then if we need more, then we'll go to this. But because the main concern is with the $272,000 in the Cdbg money is to ensure that we answer the food insecurity issues. But if we need to, if we have left over, then that would be the second priority for this funding. That's what we're proposing.
Okay, thank you. Sorry for the misunderstanding on that. And what's the standard that we're using for finding out who actually gets codes? Is there an application that we should be spreading out into our communities? Or
so what happens is that the school, so we will have a letter that the schools can send to any parents, to any families that need that, to all their families, I guess we would say, that are eligible. And then in the housing communities, they will send them to all of their residents. So that's how it's going. If you have a family that we know meets the criteria, initially we won't have to have the criteria. Initially, any family that needs it, we just, but once we start using the Cdbg money, they'll have to meet the specific criteria. At this point, they won't have to. So if you know of households that need the service, then please ask them to either get in touch with their property manager, or you can just work directly through their school. That's the best way to do it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Teresa?
Just to be clear on Cdbg funding, the families have to be low and moderate income. And the assumption is that anybody that lives in subsidized or public housing meets the criterion, because they have to meet the low and moderate income criteria also. So
Awesome. I guess my question would be, if the mayor has nearly $1.2 million in CARES access or CARES funding available to him, why would he take away from the $275,000 that is typically used for grassroots organizations that are actively engaged in communities? In addition to that, because of the success of many pantries across the county and their longevity, we've pointed to the to the Tyler Heights food drive. I could see the case of replication of funding for or dual purpose. I don't see why the city would get in the business of running a food pantry. And as it relates to the COVID funding, could you speak, to the Comcast funding, could you speak to a rough estimate of per year how much we would be giving the Comcast out of the funding?
I can't at this point, no. Out of the 270, out of the CDBG funding, no, I can't tell you exactly how much we will need out of that for the Comcast Internet Essentials. Here's what I will say about your first comment. The city is not getting into the business of operating a food pantry. The grant award will go to the Restoration Community Development Corporation, and they run the food drives weekly at the People's Park. And so they will no longer be doing that because it'll be cold and you can't have people outside all day trying to give away food. So this will replace the pantry at the People's Park. And so we are not duplicating funds. This is giving the city an opportunity to help a nonprofit continue to provide the services that they have been providing all along, but in a more sustainable way.
So if the initial group of funding is used to retrofit the building and purchase the equipment necessary to create a pantry.
We didn't retrofit anything. All we did was buy some refrigerators and some shelving.
Whatever the funding would be used for the equipment of the
that
food.
Is already spent. We used that money. We used the CARES Act funding. We used the CARES Act funding
would be used for
to purchase the food.
Is that not allowed through the CARES Act funding?
We won't be able to spend the CARES Act funding after December 30.
So the plan is to use an unestimated amount of money from the $275,000 over the course of however long that may take.
No, I will have, once we are waiting for Restoration Community Development Corporation to give us a budget. And once we have a budget from them, then we will know exactly how much we will need for the 2 years to run the food pantry. Once we know that, then we'll be able to determine what we have left over and how much we'll be able to spend for Comcast Internet Essentials if we need to do that or anything else. But until we know that, we want to make sure that the food pantry is sustainable.
Alderwoman Tierney?
So I think the objective is continuity, Lynn, if that's a fair way of putting this. I mean, we know I don't know how to successful food drive, the one, People's Park and then back to Pip Moyer. So I think in the interest of thinking of it as continuity of a good thing and to a known contractor or whatever we want to call that, I support it. I think that because the other alternative is that they can't continue. And you see, it seems like they've already built up a relationship with families.
Well, the process should, in my opinion, the mayor's office should submit an application for a request of CDBG funding. And if approved, then they would get the funding. Also, I think that the notion or belief that you've created a partnership with a nonprofit. There are multiple, as we've spoken on. I'll keep bringing up the Tyler Heights nonprofit. that serve within. There are multiple food drives that serve within our community. So I think that each should be given a chance, possibly to create a pitch or whatever it may be, because I think to get selective with deciding who would run, manage, or facilitate the food distribution, it is, I don't know how that would go. Would we use the CBDG funding to also create a food pantry at Tyler Heights that is, that has shelter and the necessary equipment to manage the pantry?
I'm confused. Is there any sort of application here or on the COVID
No.
funding, or do we just allocate it?
Teresa?
We are going to request that our Restoration Community Development Corporation put in an application.
Okay, so there is an application.
So there will be an application. And when the city, and the same with the other project, if the city is the actually carrying out the program, we don't have to have an application. But if it's somebody other than us that's carrying out the program, then there has to be an application and an agreement.
When we did our last, I'm not sure the last meeting, we talked about the COVID money. I don't know which phase it was. Restoration Hardware did put in a big application, and we kind of talked about how big food insecurity was then and how the more we need. So I'm thinking this kind of fits with that conversation and where we were going in the very beginning.
Absolutely.
Working with the mayor's office now to implement it, which kind of was what we're talking about,
Commissioner Bond, but do you think that by doing so, again, this, to Lynn's point, it's been a great success, originally starting at the Pitmore Recreational Center. I've had an opportunity to volunteer at it. I've also had an opportunity to volunteer at others. How do you take $275,000 and, well, not 275,000 because it'll be split up. We don't know what their budget is yet. So how do you take X and give it to one nonprofit or organization and explain to the others who have also put in the work and collaborative efforts that this is the decision that we've made?
I guess what I'm saying is Restoration Hardware has already put out there that they would like to do this program, and they have the capacity to do it, and we can't wait for somebody else to create that capacity. So that's part of the answer is they have the capacity. They're doing it in North County. They can do it here too, and they've already been working on this proposal. So it's like they were out ahead of other groups trying to get this done.
Right.
So I see that as a positive thing. I don't see that as a negative.
I don't see it as a negative either, but I'm just saying, let's face the facts. Times are tough. And there are many nonprofits doing the grassroots work, and that they have been in our community since the beginning, since before the CBDG funding. And I think that's something to take into consideration. Ms. Wellman?
I was just going to say that HUD is not requiring us to go competitive on this money.
And the other?
The original, phase one, we were, right? Phase one, we had to,
we decided that we wanted, we decided that we
Okay.
wanted to have a competition. There weren't any projects out there ready to go other than the ones that I knew those folks were already doing stuff. So that's what we decided. Just like the county has a lot of CDBG money, and they've decided how they're going to use their CDBG money. They haven't gone out and solicited. And we made that decision, and HUD said we could make that decision.
And I'm afraid, I'm sorry, I can't remember, but did we give Restoration Hardware much money that first round?
They asked for 56 and we gave them 20.
right.
Wait a minute, it's not Restoration Hardware.
No, it is
Restoration Community Development Corporation.
Sorry.
They've been,
Have you been restoring your house?
like you said,
lately?
they've been running a food bank up in Glen Burnie for quite a while, now. That was even before COVID happened. They were, I think they were running a food bank. So.
Yeah, the thing is that they can go to scale. They can go to scale much more easily than some of the other.
Listen, we don't know what the other
groups.
organizations can do because we didn't ask. And I think that
We have to
again,
get this money out like again, it's one of those things
Yeah, you
where
have to get it out.
you just
What is-
gotta get it out.
When is the deadline to get the funding out?
I'm not sure exactly on this one. The last time I had to do it within like a month.
So I think that we should at least extend an.
Well, you can make that recommendation.
Well, I make the recommendation that we allow organizations at least a week to apply.
I don't know because I don't have time. I mean, there's no way that I can pull all that together to get it all out and then get all the stuff in and then evaluate the thing. I mean, this was a decision again that was made by the mayor's office and
I didn't realize and this committee.
But it's the mayor's money. It's not our money.
I don't think it doesn't have to come before the committee. You get to make recommendations. And you can recommend, you can make that recommendation.
When it gets to the finance committee, then we have the opportunity to make recommendations. I'll go on record in saying that I believe that we should extend the opportunity to nonprofits, and that's my thought on this. Any other questions or concerns on this topic?
What is, does it go to, tell me, I should know this, does it go to finance for a recommendation to council?
No,
It's
no,
not
it goes to finance for a supplemental appropriation.
It's going to be an
All the finance committee does is say that we can accept the money and we can spend it. That's the approval that comes from the finance committee.
Yeah. Okay. And then it's under probably consent. Yeah. Okay. I must pull it out. Okay.
And it goes to the council.
So December 31st, Lynn, you have to make a judgment at that point, you know, if how much you have left over to continue the internet access. But but the priority is to keep the
to make sure that we have
going.
the funding to stand up this pantry. Exactly.
So
if we need so what I will say to you, Alderwoman Tierney, is that once we know how popular this program is, then we will be able to really determine. But until we start putting the codes out there and people start accepting them and really, subscribing to the service, it's kind of hard for us to know how many families are actually going to take advantage of it. And we want to make sure that every family that needs it, or every household, every under-resourced household in the city of Annapolis that needs internet access has it. Because we know that is a real, true equalizer.
So was it not possible, and I believe I was under the impression based off of the press conference that we did with this, is that the CARES funding that through a contract, I don't know whether it'd be over 1 or 2 years, the CARES funding would have taken care of that. And now we're being told that this funding will cover that over a period of 2 years.
So since we had the original conversations about the Comcast Internet Essentials, the U.S. Treasury has come out with more guidance, and what they are saying now is that the services need to be provided by December 30. And so our legal counsel has said we will be able to provide the subscriptions for 1 year, but to go beyond that 1 year would be really pushing the needle on it. So that's where we are with it. But the other thing is, if a household decided after December 30 that they wanted it, we wouldn't be able to give it to them at all. So so we really only have 2 months to stand up the program. If we're able to use the Cdbg funding, that would give us longer to be able to do that.
And that's what I meant by continuity.
And continuity for the nonprofits that do the work as well. Any other conversation on item number 6? Nope. Next item on the agenda is Consolidated Annual Performance and Evaluation Plan Report. I'm sorry.
So if you need something and you have insomnia, this is the report you need to read. Now, actually,
Oh, yeah.
actually, basically what this is every year HUD gives us money. And then at the end of that year, they want us to report on how we spent it, what we did with it, did we meet our goals and objectives, et cetera. Now this, the one for this year, 2020 is actually the last year of our 5-year plan. So just to bring everybody up to speed, we did a 5-year plan in 2016 that ran through to now. And so basically this report covers this past year, 2020, plus the years, all the previous years. So we had to measure how well we did meeting our goal for this year, and then how well we did meeting our 5-year goal. And so I don't know if you guys can see that.
Yep.
I think part of it is covered, well, on mine, part of it's covered up by, let me move this, you can see the full thing. So basically, I sent you a draft of the report. It's like the first draft. So if you find typos and stuff, even ran it through spell check, let me know. But you have the first draft, and if you could read it and let me know what you think. But this is what you're looking at is a summary of how well we did. And in actuality, we met and exceeded all our goals except for one.
Business assistance.
Yeah, the business, well, actually two, the business assistance and the new, producing new housing.
Housing, yeah.
Yeah, that was,
Teresa did not put me to sleep.
it didn't, oh, good.
Yeah. I
So,
wrote a thank you note.
so if we want to run down this, really, I'll try to run down it really quickly. But we had housing goals, we had special needs goals, we had community development goals and employment goals. So those are all the goals that we had. And under each goal, we had something called an indicator, which says basically what we were going to do. And then we said how much we were going to spend on it and how we were going to measure it and what our expected goals were and what our actuals were for the 5 years, the percent complete. And then the one on the last 3 just deal with this year. So I can go down the list if you want, and we can talk about it, or you can just read it. It's totally up to you.
Leave it up to the committee to decide by vote.
Yeah, I mean, if you, I mean, I can do it fairly fast because I'm from New York and I can talk pretty fast. So why don't I just go ahead? So in case people have an idea, have questions about what those indicators were. So
I would actually very much appreciate going down, as this is my first
oh,
meeting
okay,
committee,
good.
so
Okay.
thank you.
So the first indicator was homeowner housing rehabilitation. That's where we use our funding to rehabilitate homes of people whose incomes are less than 60% of median. Our typical goal each year is 3. And this year we only did 2. And that was pretty much because of COVID, because we got to the point where you couldn't go into, you can't go into people's homes, you can't get contractors to, the safety issue. So we had to stop it too. But overall, for the entire 5 years, our expected goal was 15, and we actually did 26. And just so you know, the city doesn't have the city contracts out to Arundel Community Development Services, which is our counterpart in the county. They have an excellent program. They do a great job, and we contracted this out to the county. The next is rental units rehabilitated. These units that we're measuring in this are the ones at Bowman Place and Homes at Monument, which is in the Clay Street neighborhood. Luckily, the developer did a really good job of getting money from the low income housing tax credit program and didn't have to use any CDBG or any city money at all. But because it's low income housing tax credit, we count it. And again, our goal was 61. Actually, it should have been 81, and we made that goal. So that we succeeded there. Home ownership housing added. This is where we didn't meet our goal. And basically what this is working with Habitat for Humanity. We try to find housing in the city to acquire and rehab and sell, and then Habitat sells it to a homeowner. We were able to do 2 in the 5 years. It's been really, really, really hard to find inventory. To buy at a low enough amount and rehab it and then sell it. We have to, the price that we have to sell, that Habitat has to sell at to meet, to make it affordable is $120,000. Well, it takes more than $60,000 just to rehab. In fact, the one that we did at the end of Clay Street, I know took way more than that. So basically, to make it work, they have to find inventory at $60,000, which was
hard to find that.
Pardon?
It's hard to find.
It is,
that, yeah.
and you know what's really hard is in the Clay Street neighborhood where we've done a lot of work and where the housing is low enough. We have competing. We have competitors that want to buy that housing. A couple of families that own a lot of housing in that neighborhood have snarfed up anything that becomes available. So I had that competition, so we were only able to do 2. But if you get a chance, one of them is in Town Pines Court, and the only reason you can tell is because they added air conditioning unit. And the other one is just beautiful. It's down at the bottom of Clay Street. It's 123 Clay Street. I don't know if anybody went to the open house when they give the key, but the play, it's just beautiful. So I wish we could have done better, but we're going to try again next year. Direct financial assistance to home buyers. This is where we help people with settlement expenses and closing costs so that they can buy homes. And that money comes out of the Homeowners Assistance Trust Fund. And right now at Homes at the Glen, we are doing this where the people that are renting can buy their homes. This is a program under the low income housing tax credit program, where a developer can do what they call a lease to purchase program, where at the end of 15 years, the people are able to buy their homes. The thing that's really cool about this is all during that period of 15 years, part of the person's rent is put aside to help with closing costs, and so that they can purchase at the end of the period. And so far this just started, and we had 8 total, 7 this year, 1 last year. Fair housing. This has to do with, this is kind of a hard to measure thing. But basically, we helped 5, it would come under the Human Relations Commission, and there were 5, I think, people who needed assistance. And we used to have a program an organization that helped called Baltimore Neighborhood Initiatives, and they went under. So so we just made our goal, but there's a new organization that's starting up that does the same thing as BNI, and hopefully at some point we'll be able to provide them funds. And basically what they do is they do all the landlord tenant, deal with all the landlord tenant issues. And right now the Human Relations Commission does that, but this organization, they do testing to see if, you know, what landlords are up to in terms of whether they're turning people down because of, you know, race or religion or, you know, things like that. So hopefully, again, we'll do that. The operation and support, unfortunately, the homeless section starts where it says operation and support, but it bounced out of that blue part. I have to put it back in. But this talks about our homeless shelter, the Lighthouse Shelter, and how many people they've helped. And basically the 200, the goal of 200 was for bed nights. And then the one below that is homeless prevention, which is before they actually have to get into a homeless shelter. And you can see we far exceeded our goals there. Permanent housing was the 4 units that we did at the bistro. There's 4 units up above the bistro that are for the people who work at the bistro, the homeless people that work at the bistro. So we met that goal. The next section is called special needs, and this is for helping people that are disabled. The first where we have it, where it says public facilities, basically means the residences that Arundel Lodge and a couple other organizations provide for people that are disabled. We said that for the 5 years we do 15, we did 23. Rental units rehab. This was another organization called Main Street. They do the same thing. They provide assistance to disabled people. We were going to do 1 unit. We were able to do 2. And I've got to fix that 300. Let's see, public facilities or infrastructure activities. Basically, this was places like the Stanton Center and the Parole Health Center, which is why you see the numbers are so high, because they have to count everybody that came through the facility. And we did those 2 projects and we exceeded those. The next are the public services, which is organizations like the Community Action Agency, OIC, Restoration Community Development, Center of Help, all those organizations that provide those services to low and moderate income people. Again, the numbers we far exceeded. I think COVID related stuff jacked up the numbers for this year. And then the employment, we did have a micro business and they didn't finish out the 5 years. They lasted for 2 or 3 years, providing help to micro businesses, but they weren't, that's a very hard thing to do. So they only were able to help 15. We had a goal of 25. So I know I ran through that really fast, but does anybody have any questions?
Yeah, I can't really see because of any questions?
That sheet is in your drive, in the Google Drive, if you want to take a look at it. And I've got a couple things I've got to tweak. This is my first run through on that caper, so it needs a little fixing up, but I wanted to get it to you as soon as I could.
I appreciate the work, of course, as usual. everything that you do by yourself. So, and I'm seeing no questions from the committee. The next item on the agenda is an update on the Affordable Housing Task Force. The task force is going well. We met yesterday. The executive leadership of the task force. We've updated our tentative schedule. Our next meeting will be next Tuesday at 5:00 p.m. I don't know what else to say. It's a great group. I mean, the the survey that we've put together has reached the community. We're now trying to organize some in-person events in some of the communities so that we can make sure the voices we really want to hear are able to apply for this survey and give their input. We've had success yesterday talking in conversation with Anne Arundel Medical Center, and they've sent it out to their entire staff with the proposal that we'd like to see their staff living in the city that they serve. And so we've made that connection. We've actually come across a very, very cool program run by the state where the hospital can use Medicare dollars to invest in public and affordable housing. And so we're setting up a meeting with them to talk about how we can get that off the ground with our state delegation. It's already been done successfully with 11 hospitals in the Baltimore City area with Mayor Jack Young. So this is something that we're hoping we can push with them.
Dewan,
Yes.
that fits within one of the proposals in our subcommittee that I've suggested for a strategy, which is a way to address issues related to seniors and really provide a whole housing and services agenda for seniors. One of which would be obviously to have that kind of a relationship between housing communities and the hospital.
And you're on policy and recommendation.
I
correct?
am. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So this was one of the things, one of my recommendations that I still need to see that we still need to see the needs analysis to see what the situation is among seniors, but
And
the idea of seniors and mixing seniors and seniors housing with services is critical if we have a sufficient demand, which I think we probably do.
Yeah, and I think especially with the trend of senior living facilities within our city and stuff like that, it could be potentially something that works. So
right.
definitely,
And the key thing about the Medicare, those are under the demonstration programs that HHS is doing out of Medicare. They're pretty heavily regulated, but Medicare demonstrations have been going on around, and I know Baltimore has done a number of them.
You said it was I'm sorry, you broke up. The Medicare demonstration program, you said?
Yeah, it's Medicare demonstrations. They're not widespread because there's not a lot of money. And
so when that conversation happens, you should be in the room with Eric and Elijah to give input. That'd be great.
Let me know when it is.
Okay, definitely. I will do so.
When are we meeting as a group, as a whole group again?
October the 20th, next Tuesday at 5:00 p.m.
Oh, okay, I probably know that.
I just got the Zoom link today, so I'll send that out. Other news in the committee, I'm sorry, in the task force, the policy group has met. I actually need to meet with Melissa to get some feedback on that. The needs assessment report is actually supposed to be out supposed to be done the 16th. Yeah. And so then we'll meet as a crew on the 22nd to kind of go over the rough draft. Myself, Eric, Trinity, and Quentin's team. And then we'll present it to you guys before Thanksgiving break. Then we run into the issue, obviously, of the holidays. So we're still trying to fix the schedule for the month of November. What is good, though, is that what we discussed yesterday, is that on the 26th of October, we will take the legislation back to the council to create amendments in regards to the timeline, because we did say that we'd finish up in December. But Eric and Elijah have requested that we push that back to February to give us more time to get some of the critical proposals from the policy and recommendations team down pack in regards to the research. So that'll be an ask, and we'll also ask for funding for administrative purposes. I'm getting word back from our committees that they are in need of printing stuff, printing paper, ink cartridges that they don't want to use their own money for. So we are working on all of that. We just met yesterday again. It was a hybrid meeting. We had some of us in person, some of us on the phone. So that's that with the task force. Teresa?
Just one question. Do we have a calendar yet?
It is in the drive. It's listed under the tentative schedule. It was just added yesterday.
Okay. Oh, okay.
It only has the next 4 dates on it, again, because our mass meetings have to be structured around the city's availability for Zoom. We did run some committee meetings offline, and I was told that they had to be live on Zoom. I don't know. I was talking with Mitchell today, and she said that is a recommendation that she makes, and that we definitely should check in with the office of law to make sure that we are following the proper protocol in regards to what meetings need to be live and what meetings don't for the task force. So I'll do that. But yeah, the most recent schedule is definitely in the drive.
Okay, thank you.
So yeah, that's that. And I really am just looking forward to seeing this report and what the data gives us. That'll be fun. So the next item on the agenda is an update on the committee assignments based off of the legislation 03819, which was passed Monday night. So let me go to the only thing that the amendment that actually changed the, I gotta find the amendment. So Amendment 4, which stated, I'm not sure if you guys have seen the actual legislation.
I've got a copy here of the amendment in the legislation.
Okay, I'll figure out how to, I don't have the most recent version where I don't have to send you the amendment and the legislation, but I'll try to figure that out, or just send you the both the amendment and the legislation so you guys can also just be up to date. But it reads on page 2, strike lines 23 down through 33 and substitute C, and this would be the direction of our new body. The Affordable Housing and Community Equity Development Commission shall review and provide comments as necessary on the housing and community development projects initiated by the city. Study and advise the city council on strategies to improve the housing stock in the city, and recommend policy initiatives and the changes in law and regulations to accomplish the objectives of the city council and affirmatively furthering fair housing. So that is kind of our new mission. Well, we also
Sort of like the,
yeah, literally the only thing we scrapped is the administrative duties part. And so we've also made it so that we don't have to wait on the council if we are not here. Previously, we needed a majority or a quorum of the city council members to conduct the meeting. And now it just takes a simple 4 of us to be here, at least one alderperson. So that helps with the flow of these meetings. Teresa, please give input on what you believe the legislation has done as well.
No, I think you're correct. It just it changes the focus somewhat from what it was before, which was kind of administrative, and talked about specifically, I think it did talk about plans and the block grant program, which it doesn't talk about anymore. So that's why I was saying that that we're going to have to revise it, the way we do things a little bit, because the committee won't, like tonight when we were talking about the Cdbg CV3, that's an administrative staff, is how we go about deciding how we're going to put out the money. That you know, we administer the program, so that's something that we, the staff, and decide how we're going to go about carrying out the program, following HUD's rules. So you can make recommendations according to this, review and provide comments as necessary, but it doesn't look like much more than that. So
is there a vote?
a vote
We don't
on,
know yet. The Office of Law would have to give.
so we have to get, and that's why I need to get input from the Office of Law.
Based off of Monday, I'm sure that I will be having to take this to the circuit court. Okay.
I mean, that was your amendment. That was your amendment.
Well, listen, you had to lose one to win one.
I know, I was watching. I mean, I wasn't watching while it was happening. I watched it the next day, and I was,
Yeah.
it was, I don't know if anybody else did, but it was,
It's always
I just read the
interesting.
stories. I just read the stories in the Capitol about it.
And based off of you get two different types of feedback in the community. From my younger constituents, and by younger, I don't mean like my age. I mean like, 40, you know, working moms and stuff, that like, just great stuff that you guys are doing. We love the intense debate. It's good. And then if I'm with someone else, they're like, this is just not the traditional quorum of the council. I'm like, I don't know what you want us to do. Like, so good stuff all around. We're pleasing.
Deliberative body.
right, but I would suggest, yeah, as soon as we get a copy of the legislation, once it's all in the proper form,
Enroll.
I'll make sure that everybody gets a copy, so we can take a look at it. Because you did mention fair housing, which wasn't really part of the marching orders in the previous legislation. So, and we do have strategies for fair housing. So, to talk
And
about.
also, as we mentioned, this body will also be responsible for overseeing the recommendations of both the consent decree and the Housing Affordability Task Force. So it'll be fun next year.
Is it in there though? Is it in there?
It is in the consent decree. It is.
Oh, in the consent decree. I meant in the legislation.
Oh, no. It's not, but it specifically names our committee.
Okay.
Well, it's specifically named the old committee. But yeah.
Which is the new committee.
We know what they meant, yeah. It's the intent of the law, right? So any other questions or concerns? I don't know why my iPad keeps blacking out.
Me too.
Yeah. I don't know if it's, I
Maybe
think maybe the data, the updates that may be needed or what, but it's been a mess lately.
Yeah.
Well, just a reminder, the next meeting in November is going to be a public hearing. And that meeting is going to focus on soliciting from the community what the community feels it needs and how we should spend our Cdbg funding for the upcoming year. So we're going to have to set it up so that people can testify.
Awesome. And we'll talk about that, I guess, in regards to how we can send out that link to our constituents and stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. You probably see me poking my fingers. I'm trying to get share screen for 123 Clay Street, but I can't do it.
I'll send you a picture.
Yeah,
I've got a whole bunch of pictures. I mean,
yeah.
It was a wonderful dedication. The woman had think she was
Jasmine, right?
3 or 4-year-old that took over the whole show. I mean, it was just great. She just grabbed the microphone and started talking, and like she couldn't have been more than 4. I mean, she was really cute.
And they got, that was the one there downtown. It's really nice. It looks modern. And there's just about 3 or 4 houses left that we might as well buy up and flip. But
The problem is you can't get people to sell them to you.
yeah. Because we'd have to be for price within the budget, correct?
Well, here's the thing is there's one lady, one person that I've been dealing with for the last 10 years who owns 7 properties.
10
in
years?
Comcast Court.
10 years.
Probably longer. The original developer of Town Pines Court ended up not selling all of them and kept 7. We were able to buy 2 back a while back, and now she's thinking about the others, but there's other people in the neighborhood that own property in the neighborhood that want to buy in the neighborhood. Landlords that are already living in the neighborhood that want to buy, own property in the neighborhood that want to buy more rental property. So it's just really hard to get, I mean, what we could
Access
do
to it.
Yeah, I mean, what we could do is say Habitat wanted to buy something, but like there was a house, 120, 50 or 60 for rehab, 60 for acquisition. But if they got it for, say, 100, we could subsidize the 40. And they would only have to pay us back the 120. They wouldn't.
Yeah.
We can do that, but we can't even get the property owners to sell them. So we'll figure something out.
Yeah, that'd be nice.
I mean, we
What
did
about-
20 some houses in that neighborhood. Acquisition, rehab, maybe 20 or
It's a house in my ward. It's a little, it's not in the best shape, but it's for cheap though.
like what's cheap though?
I think in like the low 2s, it's the cheapest house.
That wouldn't be, if you bought it for the 2s and then you need another 100 to fix it up, then it's 3.
Yeah.
And it's not affordable. It's not affordable. You
Yeah.
got to be around 120 to be for it to be affordable to a low and moderate income family. Maybe you could maybe go as high as maybe 2, depending on what their what they've saved up. There's a lot of factors that go into it, and then we can provide soft second help. But
Well,
gotta,
a lot of work to do. And
Yeah.
everybody's doing great. This has been good. We all get to stay together another year. Amen. We almost lost each other. That would have been tragic. It would have been tragic.
yeah, because we can't even get members. We don't even have a full committee.
Quorum.
Can you imagine trying to get 4 more people? I mean,
it would have been a mess. It would have been. But I'm happy that we are can all be together, and I appreciate all the knowledge and stuff that we got going on here. And so we'll see each other at the public meeting next.
Do we have a vacancy on this one?
Yes.
We do, yeah.
We should definitely ask somebody from the task force.
She mentioned that, yeah, in the beginning. Yep.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, there's definitely.
No.
I suggested that we get somebody from the
Oh my
task
God,
force,
that should be easy.
because I would imagine that after the task force is over with, this committee would be the ongoing,
Right.
Yeah.
keep all that work going, and it would be really
Absolutely.
nice to have somebody.
Yeah. That was Juan's intention.
I mean, if we get 3 people, maybe we got to expand the body. Who knows? Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Oh, but I'd be happy with Heather. So any final comments from the body?
I would just like to extend to Alderman Schemmermeyer, if you'd like, to just have me give you a call and give you more of an update and an explanation of what my office does, I'd be very happy to do that, because
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely. Yeah,
just do CDBG. There's other things like MPDU and
absolutely. Please,
Oh, can I have
please
a
email me
refresher?
and we can set up a time.
Have a refresher.
Sure.
Zoom me in.
Okay.
If you host a lunch, I'll be there because you know she's Italian.
Yeah, too bad COVID's around.
So
I think
Greg,
I'm the only one in the city who knows how to make guanciale, so we can
Hey.
do that. Or make carbonara.
I don't even know what
I don't
that
know.
is.
I don't even know what
Is that dialect?
what is
All
that.
right. It's
Right, now
Italian.
it's
It's
silly.
Roman.
Oh.
It's classic Roman pasta
Right,
dish.
see, I'm Sicilian, so I don't.
Ah, okay.
I'll
Oh
come.
my
I'll
God.
come. I'll be there.
Yeah,
That's the day.
that's a real
In
red
fact, I
sauce.
just
I'll make
finally got
matzo.
my meat to make meatballs, because you have to have the 3 different meats to make the
Oh, yeah,
meatballs.
veal. Yeah.
Yep.
Every good Nona knows this.
Well, it's a date and we will schedule it. But we got to make a motion so we can let our team go because I feel bad they got to sit here.
Mr. Chairman, I got to make a motion to close the meeting.
And second,
I second it.
all in favor?
Aye.
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 We're out of here. Be safe, you guys.